Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Velocity Sellers podcast. I am your host, Velocity Pete, and today I am joined by Max Sinclair from Ecomtent. Max, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah. So I'm excited to learn more about the AI. We had a little intro kind of preliminary discussion to kind of talk about this stuff, but I'm excited to learn more about Cosmo, so to learn more about what you guys are doing over there with Rufus, and really just how sellers can adapt and really take on these changes to maximize their profits and maximize their sales. So first things first, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, kind of give a background on your experience with Amazon and AI for all of our viewers out there. So the floor is yours.
Sure. Well, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm Max. I spent 6 years working at Amazon. So I started my career as a strategic account manager, managing the likes of Anchor, Sun Valley Tech, Duronic, these kind of guys on Amazon. I then did that for roughly 2 years. I went out to Singapore in 2019 to launch Amazon in Singapore. In that, the specific part of the launch team I was responsible for was a catalog and browse. So I spent a lot of time with the A9 teams, setting up basically the kind of back end catalog of Amazon Singapore. I then came back to the EU and I ran the scale up of the grocery business, so 3P supermarkets selling for Amazon. So for the UK and European listeners, this is people like Morrison's and Monoprix in France, Dia in Spain, Tegut in Germany. Big supermarkets selling for Amazon. And when I left that team, there was about 10 of them kind of as a 3P sellers. And then I, for the last 2 years, I have been the founder of Ecomtent, and we help e-commerce sellers to optimize for the future of our AI-powered search, generating kind of the visual and written product listing content to do so. So that's a bit about me.
Sweet. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm excited to kind of dive into a lot about what you know regarding AI. As I've said on previous episodes and other podcasts, I am a little hesitant to jump into it fully. I have played around with it a little bit like everybody else, but I'm curious to learn more from an expert like yourself just about it, to just see where we can really take it and how we as an Amazon sellers and we as an Amazon agency can really use it to help our partners and increase their sales. So first things first, I mean, Rufus is really the big hot thing as far as, AI is concerned on Amazon. So I'm curious to know more about your thoughts on that and really how you guys are working to sort of, I guess, beat the system almost and make sure that your clients' listings are showing up when people type in relevant things to Rufus, and really just, again, more about the program.
Sure. So I guess my kind of hot take is these systems are becoming so intelligent that they're really more intelligent than humans at this stage. So I think the kind of hacking the system, like long tail keyword targeting, all of this stuff that sellers have historically done. And I think there's been several kind of periods of Amazon, right? Like when I joined in 2016, it was kind of like the Wild West period, and you could just sell anything and make money. And then like we kind of transitioned to this period of let's use these external tools like Helium 10 or whoever, Jungle Scout, and like find some niche and like do this stuff. And like I think that with this advent of AI, really like the game's up on that side. Like my big picture take, like this stuff is intelligent. It's not just searching for, it's not just kind of like stack ranking keywords and kind of taking in other inputs like A9 used to work. It actually understands the context of the products. It understands the visuals as well as the written content of the products, and therefore, like the way to beat Amazon now is to develop a great product that people really love, and fundamentally, like that's a way to win. That being said, obviously, kind of there's certain elements you want to hit in in kind of creating product listings, and that's what we help our customers with. Um, but yeah, in terms of the question was on Rufus, um, I think this is going to become like when I joined Amazon in 2016, 30% of searches started on mobile, and now that figure is about 80%. And
Oh
I think
wow.
what we're going to see with Rufus, and I don't know this, just my speculation, the kind of integration with Alexa and Rufus and how that kind of voice comes into play with this language. I think in 1 year, 2 years time, uh, the natural shopping interface will be natural language, kind of written and text. I think we will have a much steeper adoption curve to this format than we saw with mobile. And optimizing for these large language models is going to be super important because, let's say 50, 60% of customers in a year or so will be just talking to their phones and like buying one of the first three things to pop up, or even talking to their Alexa and like trusting, having a much deeper trust with their with their assistant in their home.
Yeah. Well, I know sometimes I will say Alexa add, or my voice activation word is Echo. I'll say Echo add, something to my cart on Amazon or something like that. Like I know I needed something specific, like a magic eraser. I'll say, oh, Echo add a pack of, 6 magic erasers. And then I go on my phone and check before I confirm anything. But it does work pretty well. So it's interesting to think about. I didn't even consider that, adding Rufus to that, where you could say Echo, use Rufus to say what's the best. My always example is what's the best umbrella to keep off the hail or something like that. But I'm sure there's a lot better ones now. That was back when we were just talking about Rufus. But yeah, it's very interesting to think about. I didn't even
I
realize
think you're
that.
being kind if you're saying it works out. I think it doesn't work. I think it works
No,
terribly at the
really?
moment. Yeah, I mean, I like, I, in my opinion, I think Alexa works terribly at the moment. But I
Just in
think
general, or like the
the
adding the stuff to
just in
cart, you mean?
general, just
Oh wow.
everything, right? But I think the genius of Jeff, who really was pushing this when basically every other Amazon leader was saying this is a massive loss maker and where's the future here? He, foresaw this like this kind of, let's call it sci-fi AI, where it passes a Turing test. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that was impossible it was impossible for any of us to imagine an AI system where you could talk to it naturally like a human. It just didn't
Yeah.
exist, right? And now, uh, obviously, everyone's very used to it, and it's kind of just something as part of life. Um, but Alexa has not caught up from kind of the
Where it came
technology
out.
2 years ago,
Mm.
and they're rolling out as we're recording now this kind of like Alexa Pro with a Claude integration. But my hunch would be that once they really get this working and they see that people are using it to purchase, and suddenly like having an Alexa in your home makes your Amazon Prime subscription stickier. Like I can see it being rolled into with Prime, and then eventually everyone getting it, like the stat, like every like grocery on Amazon, right? First it was Prime, and now it's everyone. Like it's kind of, or video. Like I imagine it would follow a similar path to that.
I like the Echo. I know a couple people here got the Velocity during the fall. This is back a while ago now, back on Prime Day. Got the Echo Show that has the screen on it that you can say, "Oh, Echo, turn on something." Like the only thing I can think of right now is The Boys from Amazon Prime Video, and you can actually watch TV there. Depending on where you put it, and it'll show you like the date and the time. I like that one, and I guess maybe I don't use mine to maybe like the full extent that some other people do. Mine's in the kitchen, so I'll say when I'm cooking dinner, I'll say, "Oh, Echo, put on Mac Miller or put on Fleetwood Mac or the Beatles or something like that, something I'm listening to," and it'll play it and it'll be fine. It won't use. Sometimes it'll use my Spotify account. Sometimes I have that link. Sometimes it'll use Amazon Music, which is the same exact thing, so it's not a big deal. But I could see why, like looking at things like Siri, like I love using Siri to do, and I just activated on my watch. But I love using Siri to do things like, oh, Siri, set a reminder for this, do that, do this. It can do. I think it can do a little bit more, and obviously Echo can set a reminder and can put stuff in your calendar, but it's not as mobile as Siri, which is on your phone if you have an iPhone or whatever the Google Assistant or Android Assistant is. So I definitely see kind of a little bit where you're coming from there. But it's interesting to see, again, like I said, it's the future. So maybe Jeff does has something in mind. Maybe he's got something where he's cooking up something where this is his, next big plan is to use this with AI and make it more integrative into the home. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. So, but going a little bit back to Rufus, and so looking at Rufus and also Cosmo, which I learned
Yeah.
about from you. I'm excited to talk more about those two. Again, just how are you helping sellers kind of game that?
So I'll talk about what Cosmo is, and then
Yes.
I'll answer how I think we can optimize for it. So Rufus, as we discussed, is a front end. It's a kind of chat GPT integrated into Amazon. We speculated maybe this could be in an Echo and Alexa and whatnot, but that's kind of speculation. But right now it's a kind of the front end chat GPT style search that you have in an Amazon app in the US. Cosmo is a backend, so it's what Amazon calls its common sense algorithm, and basically what it does, it uses LLMs, large language models. Both Rufus and Cosmo are built on large language models, but they're different. Cosmo uses large language models and a bunch of data that Amazon have curated. Some of it, they've made hundreds of millions of annotations, like human annotations on search. They've got external data. They've obviously got search data. So they've combined their own in-house large language model and this annotation data to build what they call their common sense algorithm. And basically, it's a new way of surfacing products to customers. So it's not keyword matching like A9 was, which is basically stack ranking keywords and then using a bunch of other factors such as price and stock and reviews and blah, 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 this stuff to kind of decide what's on number one on A9. Cosmo is an entirely different system, which, because it's a generative AI system, it understands the context of what a product listing is, and then it uses this extra data that Amazon have proprietary to really say what is the best product for the customer. And the output of all of this is hyper personalized search recommendations. So
Wow.
the example that they give in their science paper is if a pregnant woman is searching on Amazon for slippers, that they will give her slip-resistant slippers because they have in their data. First of all, they understand everything about the customer. They understand this woman is pregnant, even though she doesn't type in "I'm pregnant." They just understand that from her behavior. But secondly, they understand that for people with that pattern of purchase behavior, like pregnant women, what's best for them is slip-resistant slippers. So it will show them slip-resistant slippers, bit of a tongue twister,
Yeah.
without having, without the woman putting in slip-resistant as a keyword. So that's kind of Cosmo. Now, obviously, as kind of we'll get on to discussing, if the slippers seller had put images of pregnant women in the listing, it would help. But fundamentally, it's about understanding what is best for each individual customer and surfacing to each individual customer a really hyper curated set of products,
Yeah.
either in Rufus or in natural search.
Yeah.
normal
Very
search.
interesting. And I know you made a good point about, kind of tailoring your listing a little bit more towards your
Yeah.
demographic. And I know we do that sometimes here where we'll take a look at, okay, like where, on B2B side of things, like we're seeing a lot of sales from, governments or hospital buildings. And so we'll put a picture of a hospital, like the product in a hospital setting. So it appeals to more of those kind of people. So I could definitely see that really helping Rufus when he scans and scrapes the listing, and even like you said, Cosmo too, to really show that better to other to people that are in that demographic where oh, I need something where I didn't type in I'm a nurse, but I need something like a nurse's kit, or I need scissors that are safe for cutting bandages but are skin something safety scissors kind of thing. So something along those lines. Yeah, I definitely see that being
Well,
very popular with this.
This is why I say there's no, at the beginning, there's no cheating the system, because you're 100% dead on, right? That's exactly what you should be doing. So if if we talk about how sellers should be optimizing, there's kind of three things that we think about at Ecomtent. The first is, the first is visual content, as you discussed, right? So these systems are multimodal. Amazon have released a ton of science papers also on how they're integrating multimodal into search. These AI systems are now smart enough to understand the context of images as well as just the text. So
Wow.
I'm wearing a blue jumper. If you search, you can record this in September, but if timestamp this, but if you probably put in blue jumper into Amazon in September, you're probably going to get a range of different colors come up: green, yellow, whatever, right? I would say give it a few months, January next year. That's not going to happen anymore with the full rollout of Cosmo, because the AI, they're going to be able to identify colors and context and everything on the listing, and they're just not going to show, the keyword stuffed blue jumper that sellers might do, if they write the listing red, green, yellow, blue, pink to try and get to the page one. So this kind of visual SEO is becoming increasingly important. And it knows that it sounds like I'm kind of talking in some far in the future. Amazon in February said that Cosmo was rolled out on 10% of US traffic, 10% in February. And from what we've seen with customers, I think this rollout has been pretty expedited. They said that they saw a 0.7% increase in conversion with using Cosmo compared to traditional A9, and they said this is all in their science papers that this is worth billions of dollars. And I think pretty much since February they've been rolling this out, and I think basically they'll be done in a month or two. And we've seen like example after example of customers not yet customers, people finding us saying, hey, like the rankings changed.
Yeah.
Something's happened to my listing. Like I've been in stock, the price hasn't changed, like blah, blah, blah. And they think it's Cosmo or Rufus. And, that's kind of the kind of email they'll send us. So we've seen anecdotally this rollout happen. We've seen kind of like the bullet points updates in September. So we're seeing a lot of signals of this change. Like, I don't know about you guys, I'll be off in Accelerate next week. Maybe we'll hear something,
Hear more about it. Yeah.
hear more about it in Accelerate. But,
Wow.
so yeah, like it's happened now. So visual SEO is important now, and I can talk about the two others, but I'll pause and let you respond.
Well, I definitely want to hear about those other two, but I want to go. So you said there was
Yep.
a 0.7% increase in sales, right? I heard that
Yes.
correctly.
Yes.
So that doesn't seem like a whole heck of a lot, but it is an increase. So I
Well,
don't. How do you? Like,
if you're Amazon and your revenue are trillions of dollars,
oh, I guess that's a good point.
yeah, then
I
it's
didn't think about that.
Then 0.7 is billions of dollars.
It's pretty high, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they were looking for a giant increase, but you're
Well-
right. No, I guess I guess it is a big increase dollar wise, not percentage wise, but yeah. No, that makes sense. Why?
Yeah, I mean, like when I read this science paper, the first time it came out, I mean, it's pretty apparent that basically they had just done this thing as like a little test, and like it had worked. They've probably been experimenting with many ways of implementing like generative AI in the business. Like Rufus is another kind of separate but similar example. But then this is just like such a clear entitlement that they've obviously put more research behind it, built bigger teams and rolling it out because, like a 0.7 increase, helping people to find products that they want better. If you're Amazon, like that's
the
that's
goal.
the gold mine, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
And that's what they keep pushing. And I know that's what's like, you mentioned the bullet point update, and that's kind of, I think, what they released it on the terms of is, listen, we want to make it easier for customers to find products on Amazon, because every time a sale happens, we get, some form of that. And so we want to make sure that people are clicking and making as many sales as possible. And so what we're going to do is update your bullet points based on what we think is going to put them in front of the people that are going to buy them. Which I think is very interesting. I do think that Amazon does not know. I'll say this, I haven't heard a case where the bullet points were changed and somebody liked the changes. As far as like the AI updating goes.
I would say again, right? These are all separate teams, and I've worked in Amazon, and Amazon is such a giant, like it's so enormous. It's like hard to imagine the scale of the company, especially now. Like I'm obviously working in a founder of a much smaller company, right? And you guys, I don't know how many are your team, but like 10, 50 people, like Amazon is 2 million people, right?
Yeah.
So like it's an enormous company. It's more like a country, and actually a lot of the time the teams don't really talk to each other well. So like you'll have the Cosmo team, and that will be like 30 people working on Cosmo, and then there'll be the Rufus team, and that'll be 30 people working on Rufus. And obviously these ones are quite similar, so they'll be talking to each other, but they won't necessarily be talking to the people who run Seller
Yeah.
Central. That's an entirely separate team. And what updates Seller Central are doing in terms of like updating bullet points for catalog cleanliness and whatever else, like may or may not be related. I think the latest ones from reading between the lines was, but I think the first set of like, hey, we're just going to like AI generate your bullet points for you. I like from my view, I think that like that I think that was someone like some director of Seller Central or like catalog cleanliness who was a bit too like eager and excited to get into AI and didn't really understand. I mean, a lot of people in Amazon don't understand the extent that sellers go to and the science and and like how hard the
Yeah.
sellers work to try and all the tools they're using. I can speak from experience. Like you kind of learn that when you leave, in a way, like all that stuff that's happening. So I think yeah, that could have been someone who was a bit too eager to pull a trigger on something.
To get something
The kind
going, to
of
maybe get a
yeah.
win. Yeah. I have no doubt that, again, I can't possibly, maybe that's the goal of the podcast is in, 60 years when I retire. I've talked to every single Amazon seller ever. But I can't know, I can't do that possibly. So it's potentially, maybe that did work. I don't want to say it was a complete failure. But I know a lot of the people that I talk to, a lot of people in like the Amazon space are saying like, I want to opt out of this immediately because they don't know my bullets. They don't know my product the way I know my product. And
Well,
maybe, you,
I can tell you something interesting from the
yeah,
Amazon perspective that we did it with the catalog, right? Which is Amazon, depending on the seller, Amazon does know the product better. Because if I have a product that we've scanned, that I say we, that Amazon has scanned into a warehouse in the US,
is it,
imagine we're selling like a Dyson Hoover, right? So it's been into an a fulfillment center in the US, and they've scanned the box, so they know all the dimensions of the product. They know it, right? And then a seller in I'll take this like real example. Chinese seller in Singapore adds a product. Maybe it's a Dyson Hoover, maybe it's a Samsung TV, whatever it is. They add the product which is probably the same product. They created it as a new listing. We I've seen these internal studies know that like 99% of the time, like the data that we have is better than what the seller has provided. So in many cases, Amazon, obviously not for private label, but for for non-private label goods that maybe are coming on and off Amazon and people whatever, like Amazon does a pretty good data on what it is, and therefore I can see why someone maybe working like IDQ would have said, hey, like we know this stuff, these guys are they're describing it wrong, like we have this data. But it was a big misstep in the kind of private label world where people like spend ages researching and doing the bullet points and don't want that to happen to their stuff. So
to their
I
product?
can
Yeah.
see how it how it happened. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. Like I was thinking as you were saying that too, like Rufus knows what people are searching for more than the seller is at that point, at least in terms of just a broader spectrum. So I would think they would be able to update it. And I was thinking like maybe, you don't take the exact
Well, I
wording.
can tell you, yeah, for sure, the seller central teams are not helping people with Rufus. Like these are two like entirely separate. They're probably not even in the same city, right? So the people doing bullet points updates working in Seller Central are probably trying to hit a goal on like catalog accuracy or like bullet point completion or some goal, and then the Rufus who are probably working towards conversion rate increase or whatever, like a totally different goal. And like if you're working on totally different goals on Amazon, like the chance of there being some collaboration is small because the company's so big. But Anyway, what do I know, right? I'm just kind of
Well, you work there,
speculating.
so you know a lot,
Yeah.
I'd hope. But I mean, in terms of just how they would use it to optimize, like I guess, like you said, like maybe some of the bullet points, like you have more data on these products, so maybe some of these bullet points are worth taking into consideration. But like I said, at the end of the day, I haven't heard anyone that fully accepted them and said, "All right, cool, yeah, clicked, bam, using those new bullet points." But it's still very, very interesting to kind of take a look at all that and really
Yeah.
see what is being updated, um, and kind of a little bit speaking on that. I want to get back to those 2 points that you were
Yes.
talking about
Yeah.
to use for sellers.
So we talked about visual SEO and
Yep.
how we're doing how these things are now multimodal. The next one we kind of touched upon already, right, in a roundabout way, is intent-based matching. So, we need to move away from keyword-based matching as like as an industry. Um, Very simple technical explanation for this: when you're using a large language model and you put in a prompt in natural language, the AI is then converting that prompt into tokens, which are numbers, and then it's compressing those tokens before it feeds it into the prompt. And it's compressing it because this stuff is expensive, so to reduce costs and to increase speed. So every single model works like this. You put in a natural language prompt, you compress it, you turn it into tokens, you compress it, put it in, something comes out. It, like in the case of Cosmo, it like compares it to its knowledge and its rules and its training, and it will spit products out, right? But in that process, you're losing, if you're targeting a long tail keyword of I don't know, red vacuum, house cleaner, whatever, blah blah blah, you're losing that in step one. It's not like the keywords aren't even being transferred into the prompt, most likely, if they're long tail. What is more important is this intent-based matching, and they talk about this in their papers. And what I mean by this is, like, what's the function of the product? Who's the audience? Like you said with your kind of business examples, like B2B examples, like what's the season and the time and the event where they use it? Like, where do they use it? Like, is it in the lab? Is it in whatever? Right? Again, like all of this stuff. Like the intent behind the search, having that in the product listing, in the images and the text is more and more important. So yeah, intent-based matching is kind of like the number two thing that we help with. We're focused on helping people with e-content, and people should be with or without e-content.
Love it. No, I'm curious to ask you more also about Ecomtent and kind of what you guys do. But I want to say that I think that's going to be one of the juiciest bits here. But yeah, no, like I said, it's I want to see more images when as a buyer. I want to see images of, obviously, of people. That's been the standard since forever. I want to see people using the products. I want to see people either. I'm trying to think of like when I typed in on. I've been using Rufus a lot. I've been enjoying playing around with it. I don't know if you know. I'm sure you know the story of why it's called Rufus,
Yes.
which is a very fun story. So I definitely, as a dog person, I got a kick out of that. And I've explained it many times on the other episodes. But for anyone not watching, Rufus used to be a dog in the Amazon office building, and they named it after him. But I've been enjoying using it, and I definitely, when I come across a product that is either recommended to me by Rufus or I just searching in general, I want to see people using it for the intended purpose that I want to use it for. And I know that, I'm sure, has been the way. I'm sure people, a couple of years ago were ahead of this already, and we're already doing that. But now, like you said, when I type in, oh, what's the best product to do X, Y, and Z for, and Rufus scrapes it, and they don't see your product listing have anything with that particular product being used like that, they're not going to give it to me. They're going to give me another one of your competitors. So very, very interesting to kind of see how that progresses and see how that moves forward. Is that going to, with Cosmo, how is that really going to be even more important? Like, what are some things that people?
So Cosmo is the back end of Rufus, right? So
Yeah,
Rufus is kind of like this front end
assistant.
interface that you're using,
Yeah,
the AI assistant, and the actual surfacing of products is using the Cosmo algorithm, the common sense algorithm. So intent-based matching is like absolutely optimizing for Cosmo. Optimizing
right,
for Cosmo is optimizing for Rufus.
right. They're one and the same. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Alrighty, well, I'm excited to hear this third one now. Now that we've gotten to the
So the third one is kind of is monitoring optimization. So I guess it's very like best practice back pre kind of Gen AI LLM search would have been like update your listings on a quarterly basis, kind of see what's happening. I think this is going to increase. I think you want to definitely update for seasonality. July 4th, you want to have American flags and barbecue in your product images because that's what it will understand that's the intent. So monitoring on optimization for seasonality, also like these AI models drift. As anyone who used ChatGPT will know, like it starts, it can feel slightly different with same prompt. The models just change. Basically, you add new data to the model, which will be happening all the time with Cosmo. Like all the new products coming in, all the new searches coming in. The model changes, and it like it's a bit of a black box about how this stuff works in terms of not so much how it works, but how it makes its decisions is a black box, and that shifts, right? So you kind of want to be on top of this kind of monitoring and optimization piece as well. I think it's always been the case, but definitely even more so in this new era.
I didn't think about that either. I mean, I know we've been talking about that, but you think the various different seasons. You've got obviously just the regular 4 seasons, but we've got clients that sell like very, very seasonal products. And I won't name any names, but they've got things that like their biggest selling point is only in the winter. Like they can only sell this product in the winter. Very few people are going to buy it in summer or spring, even in the colder states. And so how do you kind of combat that, and how do you go about maybe making them either less seasonal? Do you think products will become more like products like that will maybe even if they can update their images and make it more for like the fall, spring, and summer? Do you think we'll see products like that become less seasonal and more of a balance? Obviously, their biggest season will be in the big one. But
I don't know without what's the product? Are you allowed to say what the product is?
Let me think of a different example then that I can just like it's a very seasonal. Like I'm thinking.
I think seasonality will matter more. If you want my view, I mean, they've said in the science papers that seasonality is one of these kind of intent-based things that is going into Cosmo. So, like, I would imagine heightened, more sales in the winter, even more sales in the winter if it's a winter product, and even less sales in the summer if it's a winter product. Because I think it'd be even more optimized to knowing that whatever this product is, like, is a winter product, and therefore, like, we're going to show people when it's winter, and we're not going to show them when it's summer.
Right.
Would be my guess, but I don't know the specific.
That comes in then too, and I know we said we can't cheat the system, but if we put, I'm trying to think of a great example. If we put a beach towel, right? Where historically people are not going to buy them in the winter, but we put it on like a snowy, like winter-esque, like log cabin in the winter kind of scene, and we somehow work it into Rufus where this is also could be a winter product. Do you think they would show that more, or would they still know that this is for the beach? This is not anywhere where snow is related.
Like, I don't think you can cheat the system anymore. And like in my personal view, like this kind of keyword stuffing, like I'm selling X, but I'm going to stuff it to look like Y, which not everyone did, but was like a little bit of practice maybe in the industry. I think that's gone. But I think like everything we're doing is basically creating great content and explaining to people why it's great content and updating it to for the different seasons. And I don't think that's cheating. So I would be tempted to say yes. Like if you kind of are redoing your listings every, to optimize it for Halloween and then for Christmas, and it's like different images, same product, but one's got pumpkins, one's got a Christmas tree. I think that's exactly what we're doing, right? So I think that's I think that's Amazon is good from Amazon's point of view. You have fresh, like relevant content. So yeah, I think that's the way to go.
I love it. I think, and I have said this again, I hate to bring back the past, but I've always said this on the podcast where I think content's the most important piece, even before Rufus and Cosmo, especially in the US, like us American buyers are very visual focused where we're not really going to read the bullet points unless we really care about the product, but we're going to see the images.
The average person spends 8 seconds on a listing, so the average person can't read the bullet points.
Nope.
Like
you need to hook them on on the images and the A
exactly.
plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been saying that for a while as someone who admittedly it spends maybe even less than 8 seconds on the listing when I'm looking for something. I want to just see are the reviews good? Is the price okay? Do the images
Yeah.
look good? So those are my three big things. But I really like to focus on the content because if they invest a lot into the content, I know they care, and I know it's probably a really good product.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I determine my value when I'm buying things on Amazon. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to really see this roll out. I guess can I say fully? I mean, it's already kind of here. You said it's only in about if February is about 10%. Is that obviously? I hope that's changed now. But like, kind
It's
of what are we
definitely
at?
changed now. I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't give you a number, but they released a paper in February saying they did a test on 10% of traffic. So a 0.7% increase, and they'll be rolling it out. And my guess would be like a rollout takes like 6 months on Amazon, roughly. So I don't know, 6 to 9 months. They don't do it. They don't change stuff on Prime Day. So I don't. Yeah, I mean, I effectively by the end of the year, I think we can confidently say that we're now in the Cosmo world and the A9 world. You know, everyone talking about A10. You know, like kind of this mysterious A10 that never really existed, but like now we do have like Cosmo, which is here and kind of upgraded.
That's like A10. It's a fun little rumor. Like, oh, is A10 coming out? So we always used to say. I don't know if you when we were kids, there was the Xbox 360, and then the next one was like the 720, and then it was like the 1080. Like it was just going up like that. And then everyone was like, oh, like I can't wait to play the PlayStation 20 or something like that. So that's a fun little rumor. But no, in any case, I'm excited to see Prime Day like this, and also, of course, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and really just in general quarter four with this kind of stuff. I guess this is really the first time that this has existed during a big holiday season. How do you think the holidays and this biggest time of Amazon shopping and selling is going to be affected by these AI?
They rolled out Rufus to everyone before Prime Day, so they kind of had that rollout like the week before.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe they thought it would, it's high traffic on Amazon, good time to get people used to and playing with Rufus and kind of
Hmm.
helping
Get good
people to
results
do
for them.
do shopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think by depending on the listeners listening to this, like I think we've got a month or two left. I'm excited to hear what they say in Accelerate. I've not been to an Accelerate before, so I don't know if they do these big announcements like, oh, we've just rolled out Cosmo, but like maybe if they do, that'd be the place to do it, right? Because you've got everyone in town. So let's see.
I'm excited. I'm a big fan of quarter four. I've been asking a lot of my guests that I've had on here about like, what do you think about quarter four this year? Obviously, everyone else is a big fan of quarter four because it's where they probably make up the most of their sales in a year. But I know it's also historically where Amazon is usually right. They like to roll things out around this time of year. So it's always exciting to kind of see the new stuff that comes out from them, and that they are putting out. But in any case, I'm excited to see the way of AI, the way it goes the rest of the year, and just to see if they really lean into it a little bit more, and hopefully Alexa gets a little bit more sharpened up for you. I don't know. Do you have an Alexa device since you don't like them?
I mean, I mean, basically, I don't know if I should admit this. Like, I got given to Alexas at Amazon, so I got
Mm,
given
right.
like there was this program on Amazon which was like the beta trialing one. So they would, which was very cool. So they would give you I know they stopped doing this towards the end, like, but anyway, we're like back in the day when it was like 2016, 2017, Amazon is still like a startup. They would give like the staff Alexas and Kindles, just to like play with and get data on. So I had, so I had two from there, and then when I left Amazon, they cut them both, and they know, and they just they
Wow.
stopped working, and
Wow. They knew.
they knew, yeah. I think because you have to return them, so they cut them, so you return them, and I haven't repurchased one, so I don't, maybe it's got better, so I haven't used one in a while, of my own. Obviously, like, my girlfriend's parents have an Alexa and stuff, so I've been at my parents have Alexa as well, so I've been around Alexas since then, but I don't personally have one at the moment.
My mom loves her Kindle, so I can tell you that one. I don't know if you feel the same way about them, but yeah, she's a big fan of the Kindle. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see how maybe the Kindle will get some AI and it'll recommend, hey, based on your recent book searches, I'm sure they probably are already working on that. Max, I want to finish up here by asking you about your company, about Ecomtent. So give me a little bit of a rundown of what you guys do and how you can help some sellers.
Sure. So we were, I started Ecomtent. Basically, my now co-founder showed me the first release of Stable Diffusion, which was the first image model where you could type in a prompt and get an image. It's been now 2 years, September in 2022, before ChatGPT, before Midjourney, before all of this. And I quit basically then, and we've been building ever since. So we launched the first product image generating model on the market, basically 2 weeks after it was possible to do this stuff. And then we've been kind of working. When ChatGPT came out in November, I kind of saw how transformational to search, large language model based search would be. I just felt that it was so much better than the kind of existing experience that I know having worked on Amazon. So we were very bullish that this would be the future on Amazon. I just kind of felt like this was, this is where it's going to go. It's just better for customer experience. Amazon prioritizes the customer. So we've been building, basically optimizing for these language model searches since then. We've been building on our image generation capabilities. And now, we help sellers to generate the entire listing. So that's the text, the lifestyle images, the infographics, the A+ content, all with AI, all in one click, and all optimized for Cosmo and AI-powered search. So it's been 2 years. We've worked with hundreds of sellers, tens of agencies, to kind of high street retailers, just going is strong and growing.
Love it. Yeah, like I said, I am super excited to kind of dive into more about maybe looking at some of our partners and doing some of this stuff and really optimizing for Rufus and taking this to the team and saying, hey, listen, I'll definitely have to make them watch the episode so they can see how important it is. Not that I don't already beg them for views. No. We get plenty of organic views, everybody. There's no shame in sending your podcast around to your coworkers and asking them to watch it. But I'll definitely have to make sure they check this one out to just kind of get an idea of what is coming and really the future of content and out with the keywords almost. Max, I want to thank you for coming on the episode and really talking to me about AI and teaching me a lot about Rufus and really kind of what's coming and really how to bend to it a little bit and really kind of make sure that my listings and our clients' listings get put in front. Any final thoughts on AI and kind of where it's going for our viewers?
So I think that this first wave of conversational search is kind of the first way that AI is going to disrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will soon all have AI agents where we kind of have our own secretary that's an AI that will be helping us manage our emails. Maybe a mix of a personal and a work one, maybe separate ones, I don't know. But I think these AI agents will soon be doing buying for us, especially of low ticket items. So, if you need to replace a washing machine part or get a new light bulb, you're going to trust your AI agent to just buy that for you. You're not going to want to even visit Amazon. You just, you'll trust it to get the cheapest and the fastest and the one that fits, right? And you don't have to spend half an hour searching for, scrolling through Google Shopping and Amazon and Walmart or wherever else to get it. So I think agents will be a big thing, 5 or so years time. I think we're going to start to see AI kind of come into the physical realm more. So kind of robots in homes,
Elon Musk.
smart appliances. Well, you
Yep.
joked, I really believe that this is going to happen. So I think your fridge will be talking to you and be saying, "Oh, you've got X and Y ingredients. And why don't you let me order for you A and B, and then you can cook your favorite meal for dinner,
Love it.
and it will order for you, and you don't need to think about it. And maybe your mirrors buying your supplements or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
I
So
believe
I think
Yeah.
we've got a huge like a very exciting path forward. I think, e-commerce is going to be like completely disruptive. I think large language models are going to be bigger than mobile for e-commerce, but not as big as the internet. But I think we could get to a point with like agents or like smart appliances or, the future where like we have like an even bigger shift. We don't even visit Amazon anymore ourselves as humans, and like AI is kind of just doing this for us,
Yeah.
5 or 10 years down the road.
I wouldn't be too shocked. I don't know if Amazon would like that super a lot, but I guess they'd be getting the sales still if your fridge is
Wow,
ordering
if it's an
groceries from
Amazon
them.
robot, they
Yeah.
won't mind.
Well, I mentioned Elon Musk because did you see that I don't know when, but he said he's rolling out this like $10,000 humanoid AI thing that
Yeah,
can like live in your house. It's crazy.
yeah.
I like Elon. I think he's very innovative. I think he's definitely a really brilliant mind, but that just seems very scary. And it's the fact that it can crack an egg and then into a pan and then pull the shells out. Like it has like this like dexterous enough fingers and has the knowledge to be
But I
able to
mean,
do
how
that is
amazing. I love
crazy.
that to clean up and,
Yeah.
like I can
Doing
focus
house chores
on
maybe.
podcasting and, building e-content, and it can do all my chores, and,
Yeah. I don't know.
it'd be amazing.
I like doing the laundry. I like getting the satisfaction of folding clothes, and I love to cook too. So I would not have it do that for me. But I
Yeah,
think I would
I'd
have it
have it
do.
cooked for me. I can't cook, so I'd have the cooking done for me.
I would definitely have it do. I like cleaning kind of, but I wouldn't want to do the floors every week. Where I can have it take care of the vacuuming and like wiping down the counters and all that stuff after I'm done. So that could be good. But either way, it's just very interesting to see kind of what they're working on over there. But I'm excited to see the rest of how that comes out and how people feel about it. So that should be pretty interesting in the next couple of years here. So, well, Max, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I will make sure that everybody, Max's LinkedIn and website will be in the description. So click down below to learn more about Ecomtent and Max himself. And again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. I'm Velocity Pete, and we will see you next week.